Hey, hey, hey. I'm your humble host, Phys Ed Music, and this right here is Urban Politics. Want to thank you all for liking and subscribing as you do. Please, as soon as you have a free moment, preferably after this video, please run on over to YouTube, like and subscribe. Phys Ed Music, Urban Politics. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I want to run right into it or jump right into it like a car and drive because there's all types of tasty and delicious politics for us to sink our teeth into. Number one, before I even lead into my notes, I was watching TV earlier, of course, watching the news, my favorite activity, and then they're going to talk about how more classified documents have been found at Biden's residence. What? More? I think they said like six classified documents. That's not a good look. Now, I still don't liken his situation to Trump's because, once again, he is working with the Department of Justice. He is working with the National Archives. He said him and his staffers are working vigorously to try and retrieve these documents. So that's different from Trump, a guy who was hiding them forever. And after months of the Department of Justice and the Archives Department begging him to give the documents back, he still didn't do that, to run up in his house and take them. So these situations are still different. With that said, still not a good look for Mr. Biden. Now, they had said that, and like I said, he had got donkey of the day from Charlemagne the God, the Biden administration, for the fact that how the news reporter was saying this is not a good look. It's not a good look. And I say that because there is no bridge between what Biden is doing and what Trump has done. But Biden, you put yourself in that same group when you do this. I don't get it. Mr. Biden. Now I'm just talking to President Biden. You know, the rest of y'all can tune out. Mr. Biden, you already seen Trump was going through this. So why wouldn't you just low-key have staffers go out and say, hey, look, why don't y'all just scour all my stuff and look for these documents, go to my house, go to my mama's house, go to wherever, and make sure that I didn't take documents from the White House that are classified, shouldn't have been took from the White House. I guess that's harder to let come out your mouth like that, but after you see one of your political opponents is already in trouble for it, if you know you have issues with it, why wouldn't you get ahead of the story and take care of it before it turns into what it's turned into? And Mr. Joe Biden, stop comparing yourself to Trump. There is no comparison. Trump has a laundry list of offenses against him, right? This is just one of the things that he's done that you have also done. It doesn't look good, but you're not Trump. You know what I'm saying? Because at least you're cooperating with the powers that be to find these documents. But it still doesn't look good that you took them to begin with. Anyway, there's a guy on the news, and he said that he's been in the classified world forever. He said, what are these guys doing taking these documents home? He said he's been around classified documents his whole career. I don't know who the guy was, somebody in government. And he said, I've never in my life taken documents home. These are classified documents. You know that they don't leave government property. You know better than that. I've been a social worker my whole life, pretty much. Not so much now, you know what I'm saying? But, 15 plus years I've been a social worker. Guess what? People's files, you don't let those leave the office. And if you do, they leave the office in your locked briefcase, right? And these are just people's files, not just people's files, because these are people's lives. But my point is, this ain't even sensitive government documents. This is just people's personal information, but that's breaking HIPAA laws to have that stuff just out there. Or to maybe have it in your car window so it's visible to whoever might be walking by and just look down and see it. Come on now. You got to know the rules of that game, Mr. Biden, Mr. Trump. Just like I got to know the rules of that social work game, or I had to know the rules of it. So that is what it is. Anyway, moving on, let's get to my notes. Number one, we're going to talk about how Columbus passed legislation that may be in on your cell phone while driving against the law, and how they can pull you over for that. Yeah. So why would I bring that up? Well, that's kind of a problem because we know that sometimes bad things happen when people of color and other minorities have interactions with the police. And I might have even reported on this show, or maybe I read about it somewhere, about how a lot of the problems that black people are having with the police and young black men are having with the police, getting shot and whatnot, is just because so much police interaction. But there really doesn't need to be all that police interaction. But the reason that police interaction is forced is because it makes money and revenue for a lot of these states and a lot of these municipalities and stuff like that. So they want police to have that interaction so that they can write you a ticket or something like that and make some money for the state. So here's that. I don't know if that's probably the motivation behind this, like the motivation behind any legislation that says, yeah, police are going to jump on this one thing. I do get how cell phones, that's a hazard. right? And I think texting and driving is a bigger deal than actually being on a phone call in traffic or while you're driving, but both are no good. So I understand them saying that in the public interest, they're going to start going after that. But the part of this that I don't like is that means more interaction people of color might end up having with police. And a lot of times that just doesn't end good for us. So I would say out there to black people, other people of color, hold your head because this legislation is a thing. Remember that. I have to remember that myself because a lot of times I'm on the wheel and I want to bust out the phone and maybe have a quick conversation while I'm on the way hither and thither. Don't do it. It ain't worth it because then you get pulled over and then you can end up a Facebook hashtag. Anyway, moving on. Moving on. Now I want to talk about, once again, Elon Musk. With his billionaire Musk gets booed. He was hanging out with Dave Chappelle. Now, I may have covered this, but I wanted to cover it again because I went a little more deeper in depth with it, right? You know, Elon Musk want to sit there and act all innocent, but there's a reason that people hate his guts, right? So let's talk about that. He says, well, actually, him and Dave Chappelle are on stage, right? And he said he's on stage, Dave Chappelle, and he gets booed by the people as soon as he gets introduced by Dave Chappelle. He said it was a first for him in real life. Suggests he's unaware, or that suggests that he's unaware of the building backlash. How's he unaware of it? That man ain't been paying attention. Unfortunately for him, everyone else has been paying attention. How he done drove Twitter right into the dirt, right? So, he joked about building a comedy club on Mars with Dave. At one point, Elon asked Dave, because now the people are booing and all that stuff and just booing. He asked Dave, what should I do? Dave told him, don't say anything. He said, that right there is the sound of pending civil unrest. And then Dave Chappelle, being the comedian he is, he wrapped it up real quick before Elon could even get another word out. But Dave had enough, wits to know that the crowd ain't feeling him. Let's wrap this thing up and both of us get out of here before we both get stoned by these individuals who are no fan of Mr. Musk. Why would they not be a fan of Mr. Musk? Now, first of all, we all know what he's done as far as Twitter goes, acquiring Twitter and running it into the dirt, doing the little $8 approval thing, and now any idiot who claims I'm such and such can get that, that was it, the blue check mark verifying them as such and such when they shouldn't have that verification. TI is what a TI is. Elon doing this thing, like I said, running Twitter into the ground. They said that he done lost money from acquiring Twitter. I believe it. Come to find out he's got billions, but he's not the smartest guy on the planet at all. So there's that. The reason why people are upset with Mr. Elon Musk, or he probably got booed, not probably, but did get booed after getting introduced by Dave Chappelle. Why was that? Because number one, he's mocked trans people and people who support gender fluidity. That's not cool. You know what I'm saying? Look, even if you don't understand that movement or agree with it. Now, I don't understand how you can't agree with it because they're just people trying to be who they are. That's all they're doing, is being who God made them. But even if you don't agree with it or you don't like it or you ain't feeling it, you don't have to mock it. And you don't have to make fun of people who do support it. If there are people out there who want to respect other people's pronouns and all that stuff, fine. Let them do that. I get it, Mr. Musk. I'm 46 years old. A lot of this stuff I don't necessarily understand or subscribe to either, but I will respect other people's feelings, right? I'm a thoughtful individual. So if someone wants me to refer to them a certain way, fine, whatever. Whatever makes them comfortable, right? It ain't always about me all the time. So there's that. He mocks people who support the trans community. And then this guy asking for the White House chief medical advisor to be prosecuted for his handling of the pandemic, saying, my pronouns are prosecute Fauci. Oh, Lord. So, of course, he goes after Dr. Fauci, who didn't do anything but his job, trying to help people and tell people what was going on and maybe the best ways to not get COVID-19 and die a horrible death, right? But Mr. Musk says, how dare he? And it's all a conspiracy and it's a pandemic. So Mr. Fauci needs to be condemned and brought to prosecution. That is redonkulous. But this is the type of stuff that Mr. Musk engages in. But he can't understand why he might get booed, at an outlet that has regular folk and general people there who are not of the mind that he is. And I would say the mind that he is of is the mind of the mindless. So there you go. Unfortunately for him, the people who came out there to see Dave Chappelle or who were at this event and saw Dave Chappelle have brains in their heads and his shtick wasn't floating with them. So, Mr. Musk, pay attention to how much people don't dig you. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about some hometown stuff. Let's keep it local. It's all local, right? All politics is local, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about Columbus and alternative policing. Now, I've been calling for this. I tell people all the time. I see different situations on the internet, and I'll post a situation. I'll say, defund them now. Them being the police, right? But when I talk about defunding the police, I'm not saying take all their funding. Some of these police outfits get, I'm just throwing a number out. Let's say they get $100,000. I think they can do what they're doing with $50,000. And that other $50,000 needs to go to some social programs or some things that are about prevention. You know, we need to get more into prevention, right? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I believe that. We need to get back into that. With that, take some of these funding from police and put it into social programs. Anyway, so there's that. The city of Columbus has programs in place to answer 911 calls with alternative responses. I like that. But some say the city should do more. Some of these programs are more than 3 years old. I didn't even know that. One just started this year. People want the city to add another one. I agree. That is a really, really good idea. People need to be able to call the police and get a response that isn't necessarily military or aggressive. You know what I'm saying? I don't know any other way to put it. You know, guy shows up, he got a gun and a badge, and he's, you know what I'm saying, a judge, jury, and conviction, all right, like Judge Dredd or something. We need to get away from that. People need to be able to call somebody who can come and resolve a conflict or deal with a conflict, but they don't have to do it putting a gun to anybody's head or killing anybody. And that's what I'm talking about. So I'm glad to see the police, Columbus is interested in that as well. The purpose of the People Safety Forum, that's a group that was created, is calling for more programs like this. So that's good. The People, the People Safety Forum has been calling for more of these programs that, like I said, is something that people can call and get a police response that it doesn't necessarily involve a gun or any type of aggression or violence or stuff like that, right? People need to be able to call 911 and get a response that doesn't involve law enforcement. The Columbus Department of Safety said it is looking into a program that doesn't involve a police response for certain calls. I agree with this. Now, I've told the story on this show again. I'll briefly just run back to it. There was a time when I would go out to the police training facility, and we were training them to be crisis intervention officers, CIO, I think, or something like that. And basically what that was supposed to be is that people could call, and if they had a mental health situation, they get another type of cop out there. They get a cop who was trained to deal with that type of stuff. Now, interesting enough, as I think about it now, I'm like, man, it'd be nice if people were just human beings and knew how to treat human beings like human beings, and we didn't have to have trainings like this, because in the end of the day, no one should have to train you how to be sensitive or how to be thoughtful or how to care about somebody else who's in a different situation that you might be in. But unfortunately, this is the real world, and we're dealing with real life human beings. It is what it is. You have to have these trainings. I was involved in these trainings till I wasn't anymore, but it's a good thing. I think that the Columbus Police Department is still doing it, because you do need officers who at least have the wherewithal to be like, hold up. This person I'm dealing with is obviously cognitively unaware. They're obviously not with it mentally. Let me treat them differently. Maybe I handle them with kid gloves because they obviously have the mind state of a kid, or something else may be going on. So it's good that that's happening, and it's good that they're looking into these this alternative policing. And that's all I've been saying. When I say defund the police, I don't mean take all their funding. We don't need to take all their funding, but just take maybe half of it and put it into some social programming. Right? Put it into some of that prevention. In this country, we're always about the cure. We're about to cure too much. Let's get into some of this prevention, right? There that is. Moving on. Now I want to talk about the debt ceiling. Woo-wee. They've been talking about the debt ceiling. Now, why is the debt ceiling a problem? This is money that we've already spent. We have already spent $31.4 trillion. Now we need to pay that back. I was watching some movie, and this guy was talking about the U.S. government. And he said, if I ran my business like the U.S. government runs the government, I wouldn't have a business. Exactly. Now, people don't want to hear this, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. A lot of people have said that they love doing business with the American government. Why? Because no matter what's going on, the American government always has cash on hand. their credit could be garbage, right? They can say there's no more money in the coffers, but somehow they come up with such and such $1 billion. Somehow we donate such and such $1 million over here. Why is that? Because it's America, ladies and gentlemen. When we don't have the money, we just go to the back and print some more. We print some more. Now, a lot of people say that ain't right. That lowers the value of the money. True indeed. But at the same time, this is still America, and it has the full faith of pretty much the rest of the world. So that money is respected almost everywhere you go. A lot of friends of mine who tell me about going to foreign countries, because I've never been, they tell me about it and they say, hey, that American money is respected. When you come up in there with that American dollar, they're thirsty for it. Now, I remember being a kid. Real kid, I was about 10 years old. And I went to Mexico with my dad. And they were selling Chicle, right? So the little kids said Chicle. They come out to Chicle. And my dad pulled out $1 to buy some Chicle, which is some gum. And them, my lord, man, 1 million kids showed up out of nowhere. Just and rushed them. Rushed us, because I was there with my dad, right? So that right there let me know. These Mexican people, they respect this American money, don't they? They thirsty for it. Around the world, they're thirsty for that American dollar, and America knows that. The government knows that. So whenever they need more of this money, they just print off more of it, and that is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. But that's why we end up with this debt ceiling, right? We do not have our house in order in this country. We've never had it in order, you know? So the U.S. hit the debt ceiling last week. House Republicans are a mess and can't agree on passing it, and it always ends up being a political football with them anyway. Some of them want money for the border. Some just claim that the U.S. needs to do more saving, right? Some of them were saying that they don't want to sign a debt ceiling package until we deal with, or some of the money is subtracted from Medicare and Medicaid. They've been wanting to kill those programs anyway. Here's another way. They want to try and get in there and get rid of your Medicare, get rid of your Medicaid. Pay attention, American people. So there's that. Once again, though, they're kicking the can down the road. Like I said, last week this happened. Might be last week, Tuesday or Wednesday, one of those days when it basically came up and you know, time was out and we should have paid this $31.4 trillion. But the federal government was saying that they can do some moving things around and find some money in some different programs in different places and use it for different things. And we probably can get floated until June 5th. June 5th? What? So I'm like, geez, my birthday's June 9th, so they're going to do this around my birthday? They're going to kick the can down the road until June. Wow, this is the country you live in, ladies and gentlemen. What if you did that, right? What if you had a gas bill that was due tomorrow, and I've done this, I get it, you know, everybody gets extensions. You call them, say, I need a 2-week extension. That 2-week extension come, you call them and say, man, I need another 2-week extension. What would happen to that? They'd be like, no, you can pay it now, or we can cut it. We already made that deal with you. We already gave you a little bit of credit, gave you a little bit of love, and you didn't follow through on your end of the deal. We're cutting your heat. But see, the government, it ain't like that with them, right? They get to pay these little games or whatever. Talking about they got a little bit of money to sustain us till June 5th. Wow. What happens after June 5th? We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, the Republican House has their ish together. It's a family show, excuse me. Their ish together and can come together to go ahead and pass some type of legislation, and we can go ahead and pay or go ahead and vote to pay America's bills. Because we've already spent this money. This $31.4 trillion has been spent. It's already been spent. So now we just need to pay it. And now I talked about this on the show maybe last week or week before last when this happened and Mr. Barack Obama was president. America's credit score ended up falling. I think it went from an A+ to an A- or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And then Barack Obama, of course, got on TV and was like, this is America. Ain't nobody tripping off of that. People still want to do business with us. Our credit ain't dropped. I hear that. But still a bad look for us. That it takes all this, and still a horrible look for us that once again they kicking the can down the road. Then on the news you listen and they say, welcome to the next 6 months of your life. What? So already, you know what that means? That means already people have dug in their heels and gotten ready for this to take 6 months. That's stupid. Have you ever had that late bill? Call these people, let them know, hey look, I'm going to pay that bill 2 weeks late, but I'll pay it then. And they set up a payment arrangement. Then you pay it in a week instead of taking that 2 weeks. That even looks good. So why wouldn't Congress get their ish together and come together with a plan to go ahead and pay this before that June 5th deadline? You know, that would still be even better to wait until then. Ladies and gentlemen, they're going to wait till then. They're going to kick the can down the road, and they will not pay this debt a second before June 5th. I promise you that. And that is so raggedy. But welcome to America. Welcome to our government. We pay these people all this money and they can't even pay our bills on time. That is what it is. I don't know what to say about that, but welcome to the next 6 months of my life. I thought that was garbage. Don't say that. Don't say that, because that right there is giving these guys and gals leeway to be lazy and wait and take all this time going back and forth about all this crap that the American people don't need, don't want, and don't care about. I'm talking to you, Republican Party. You know what I'm saying? All wrapped up in things like CRT, all wrapped up in DeSantis in Florida, making it to where, Black history can't be taught in some of these AP courses, right? So they were saying that Japanese history can be taught or is taught. Italian history is taught. Spanish history is taught. But black history can't be taught? What? Now, at one point, I sat there and thought to myself, of course he don't want them teaching black history. Of course, a lot of these conservatives don't want them teaching black history because so much of black history is rooted into what people not of color have done to stop us or to hurt us or to harm us. And they don't want that coming out, right? But then I sit here and think about it and I'm like, but hold up. Every nationality of color on this planet has that same story of how Europeans have came in and did whatever. How English people have come in and colonized and all that stuff. So that's not something that we just have, but it's interesting how they've singled out African American history and are mad at that. And they don't want that being taught because that in particular makes their kids feel bad. It's history, ladies and gentlemen. And it's sad that that's what the GOP is on. They're not on helping their constituents. They're not on helping people who voted for them and got them up there on Capitol Hill. They're on playing these little games and owning the libs. And it's sad. And then you have you have people like Marjorie Taylor Greene who are heading up some of these committees that can really do some real damage. You know, because they have outlandish views and outlandish ways of seeing things. These are grifters. These are con artists. They don't care lying. They don't care about lying. They don't care about pushing a story that they know is false as long as it laces their pockets with cash. These are not the type of people that we need up on Capitol Hill. But they're there. They were sent there by some people, and then a lot of them actually retained their seats. You know, in this election that we just had, a lot of them kept their seats. And that saddened me. I thought Laura Boebert lost her seat. I think I reported that on this show. Going to find out, no, she's still there. Her people like the stuff that she's been doing, which is also scary. To think that there's people in America who are aligned with the Freedom Caucus. You know, they're the people who sent the Freedom Caucus there. And they think we need to blow up government and start from the beginning again. Just blow all this stuff up. None of it works, so just blow it up and get rid of it, and we'll start from scratch with something different, something better. A dictatorship would be better in their minds. That's where we're at in this country, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, moving on. Before I get up out of here, because my time is drawing nigh, I want to talk about my beer of the week. It's usually my IPA of the week, but this is not an IPA. This is a wheat beer. A wheat beer. It's a wheat beer. It's delicious. This Sona American wheat. Crisp, bright, citrus, and inviting. I would agree with that. It is all of those things and more. Heart State makes this beer. It is 5.8% alcohol. They say it's a vibrant, citrusy ale that pairs perfectly with all of your beautiful vibrancy. It's a wheat beer. Ale brewed with wheat, barley, and American hops. Delicious. This is a delicious beer, and it's made not too far from here. It's made, brewed and packaged by Heart State Brewing, which is at 750 Cross Point Road, Gahanna, Ohio, 43230. Wow, so this isn't far from me at all. Gahanna ain't that far from where I'm broadcasting to you right now, ladies and gentlemen. This is a good beer right here. Yeah, this is good stuff. This Sona American Wheat by Heart State. It's a homegrown beer. It's a delicious beer. 5.8% alcohol. You're definitely going to feel that. That'll be a nice little topper to your dinner or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It pairs well with anything if you ask me. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is my time. I am your humble host, Fizz Ed Music. This is Urban Politics. I want to thank you all for liking and subscribing as you do. Please, as soon as you have a chance, take your little cell phone over to YouTube. Like and subscribe. Fizz Ed Music, Urban Politics, where politics lives. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, as always, see you around like a donut.